Kung Fu Panda 4. Oh boy. If you minus out Teenage Kraken and Troll Street, this is definitely the highly anticipated DreamWorks film of next year. Possibly animated, especially after this week's announcement at CinemaCon. So, if you don't know what happened this week, CinemaCon was happening, and DreamWorks and Universal had finally released the plot for Kung Fu Panda 4. We have our director, and we have what the plot is going to be. And the plot for this movie sets it up as a pretty amazing film, and it looks like this will be the last in the franchise, and it's really insane that it's actually coming to this point. The Kung Fu Panda circle is finally coming full circle, and we're finally getting the end of the franchise. And we're getting our new villain, which seems to be setting the standard. And we are getting returning villains in this movie, which is absolutely insane. I know tons of people have been wanting these villains to return for so long, but it's happening. We're getting Tai Lung back, we're getting Shen back, and we're getting Kai back. It's really insane that this is happening, but today we're going to be talking about the plot details revolving around Kung Fu Panda 4, and just everything around it, because it seems like this movie is gonna be basically, how can I put this? Kung Fu Panda No Way Home. Basically, that's what it's pretty much hyping it up as, because it looks like all the villains are gonna be showing up. So, that's what we're gonna be talking about today in today's video. Before we start, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into everything. Now, like I said in the last video, the director of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is not directing this movie, but it is in fact going to be Mike Mitchell, who has done Shrek 4 and the Lego Movie 2. So he has a pretty decent background behind him. The Lego Movie 2 was pretty good. Shrek 4, I've actually rewatched it. It's not as bad as I thought it was. It's definitely better than Shrek 3. And, you know, he could be putting a good story behind it, hopefully. Because the story actually seems like it's closing off the franchise. The story follows. Po is now trying to find a new replacement of the Dragon Warrior. The new villain, named the Chameleon, can summon villains from Po's past. So we already see where this story is heading. It looks like Po is trying to find someone else to take the role as the Dragon Warrior. It looks like his time is up in this movie, and he's passing it down to someone else. Doesn't look like it's gonna be his panda brethren, and it doesn't look like it's gonna be anyone from his, clan. It looks like he's going far out because he meets this new villain called the Chameleon. Now, just the villain being a chameleon actually opens the doors for a lot, man. Like, obviously chameleons can camouflage, obviously, and they can do lots of other really cool things to try and trick Po and try and drag them down all these different paths. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of manipulation going on in this movie with it being the chameleon. I'm wondering what his motive is, and usually, most of these villain stories somehow connect to Po in some way or form. We're gonna see how the chameleon story kind of ties down to Po. It's gonna be really interesting to see how that plays out. And the big part that had everyone raging was that he has the powers to bring villains back from his past. And that includes Tai Lung, Shen, and Kai. I did a poll about this a few days ago, and it looks like you guys are most excited to see Tai Lung, but then when I went into the comments, there was a lot, and I mean a lot, of people wanting to see Shen return. And that seems like personally, yeah, Shen is definitely my favorite for who I want to see return, because his story was just really amazing, and it was very deep with Po. I feel like he was the most connected character to Po, not in a, normal way, but basically their stories cross paths. He's the reason why all the pandas, supposedly, at the time, he thought were extinct. It's the reason why they lost his mother, and it kind of all boils down to that. Tai Lung and Kai kind of interloop with his story, but not so much. Tai Lung literally meets Po for the first time in Kung Fu Panda 1. He had no idea he existed. But I think the chameleon will have something to do with Po's regarding story. And that's what I'm really excited to see. And seeing all these villains team up and meet each other for the first time. Are they going to team up against Po? One thing I'm thinking is, are they gonna have changed over the years? Like, are we gonna see redemption arcs for the likes of Tai Lung? Shen would be really interesting to see a redemption arc for him after everything he's caused. Yes, he was kind of insane with the motives he had, but his parents drove him away. I wonder what kind of sympathy you could call it, or peacockity, as the animalologists would say. But it's kind of like, it would really be nice to see how all of these three villains have changed over the years. It would be really interesting to see, maybe they would help Po. It's most likely going to take the, let's just say, No Way Home approach, and they probably team up. But I could be wrong. They could get redemption by the end of the movie. And this looks like Kung Fu Panda. It looks like the finale of the franchise, which makes sense. And currently right now, I guess I should probably watch this? But there is a Kung Fu Panda series on Netflix. It has okay reviews. It's not as bad as the other DreamWorks shows that usually pop up on Netflix from time to time. One weird one is that there's a Kung Fu Panda series dropping on Paramount Plus of all places. Why would you place it on Paramount? Don't you already have Peacock? I guess Peacock really is a dead service. But the point is that I guess this is really all culminating towards the end of Kung Fu Panda, and it's really insane. It's best to close the chapter on this franchise. I mean, heck, if this movie makes $1 billion, maybe it'll continue, because I feel like the Kung Fu Panda franchise has been building up this hype for a while now, and although the film does have competition that month, we have the conclusion to the Spider-Verse franchise being Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is releasing later this year, and it originally was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, so there is going to be a cliffhanger at the end of this movie, so I feel like that movie is also going to build up hype, but DreamWorks in itself is already a powerhouse in animation, so I'm really not worried about that. And the other films don't really fall into the category of animation, just blockbusters like Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire, which I'm actually really excited to go see that movie, but it doesn't really fare as competition to Kung Fu Panda 4, so I'm not really worried about that movie. But I just can't believe that 2024 is gonna be stacked. We have the likes of Kung Fu Panda 4. We're not sure what's going on with Shrek 5. It's all basically confirmed, but we just aren't sure when it's going to release yet. DreamWorks always releases 2 films per year. This year we have Teenage Kraken and Trolls 3 towards the tail end of the year. We already have 1 movie confirmed. Now we're just waiting on the second. And hopefully, maybe imagine having a Shrek 5 and Kung Fu Panda 4 both released in the same year. That would be insane. And you know what? There's a lot of storylines they could take this movie, and I think this is a pretty good one to conclude the franchise on. I mean, Po has been going through a lot, and I mean a lot through these past 3 films. And the 3rd film, I thought the franchise was gonna end, but I feel like a 4th one fits it better to just conclude everything. He's going to find a new Dragon Warrior. Whoever that is, I'm really excited to who that is gonna be. And maybe this might not even be the end of the Kung Fu Panda franchise. It might just be the end of Po's storyline, but whoever he passes it on to, it may take the Boruto effect, and it'll be this new franchise, whoever it is. I'm really excited to see what they're gonna do with this. And the villain especially, there's so many directions he could take on what burden he carries with Po, and everything like that, because a chameleon is just a sick villain. Well, just a sick animal to use a villain for. We had a peacock, we had a lion, tiger, I'm pretty sure it was a tiger, and we had a bull, which all don't really apply necessarily to the character, necessarily more Shen, but everyone else was just sick, man. And a chameleon obviously can camouflage, do all this other crazy stuff, so it's gonna be really cool to see what he does in this movie. And I'm just really, really hoping this movie lives up to all the hype that it's building up, Mike Mitchell does seem like a good director. I mean, he's directed some okay films. Shrek 4 was okay. Like the Lego Movie 2, there really isn't a bad Lego Movie in my book, so the Lego Movie 2, the second part, was just great. It was fine. So, by looking at the comedy from both of those films, I can see where they're gonna go. The art direction, though, I'm not really sure. Will they keep the same art style? Probably. I don't think they're gonna really change the art style for the finale of their franchise, because they could do something different. I mean, the reason why Puss in Boots: The Last Wish looked like it did was because, obviously, fairy tales, they wanted to look more like a painting. And they did a pretty good job of it based on how the backgrounds look and how the characters look a lot different from their counterparts from the old movie. So what they could do with Kung Fu Panda 4, still keep the same animation, but what they could do is blend it up with some Chinese culture. In the flashbacks in Kung Fu Panda, we've always had that style, so it would be really cool to see how they blend that style with the movie. It would be really cool to see how they do that. And I think that's the best way to go if you really want to carry over this Puss in Boots style over to their other movies. Don't do it too much where all their movies look the same, because Puss in Boots: The Last Wish definitely stands out amongst the DreamWorks films as something different. But don't overdo it too much. Maybe keep it to the Shrek franchise and maybe sprinkle in some parts into the others. But I do think Kung Fu Panda 4 has a lot going for it, and probably is already my most highly anticipated movie of next year. And I'm so excited for this trailer to release. And I'm so excited to also see these villains finally return back to the big screen. Tai Lung, Shen, and Kai, and this new villain, the Chameleon. I'm really excited to see how he comes out. He has a lot going for him behind that. I'm also excited to see who this new protagonist will eventually be for the future of the Kung Fu Panda franchise, and everything like that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. It was really unexpected that we were getting Kung Fu Panda 4 news, especially with plot details and everything like that. I thought we were just gonna get, I don't know, maybe like a few snippets of who's being cast and everything, but the full plot and the villain, that I was not expecting. And it started the hype train. Hit that woot woot, and we're finally into the Kung Fu Panda 4 hype train. So, what did you guys think of this plot and the villain, and how do you feel about the story and the director? Let me know down in the comments, and I am so excited for this movie. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.